This week on Talking Pictures with Neil Rosen, we'll look at the new biopic Springsteen, Deliver Me From Nowhere, the new musical Wicked for Good, Hamnet, starring Paul Mescal as William Shakespeare, director Guillermo del Toro's Frankenstein, Hugh Jackman and Kate Hudson in Song Sung Blue, and Brendan Fraser in Rental Family. We've got all that, many more movie picks coming up. I'm Neil Rosen, and welcome to Talking Pictures. It's our monthly Critic Roundtable show, where we debate what's worth watching and what's not when it comes to new releases, hidden gems, and Hollywood classics. Joining me today are Bill McCuddy from the very popular podcast, Sitting Around Talking Movies. Do check that one out. It's pretty good. My friend Lisa Rosman's back from the Ruby Report, and my friend Edward Douglas is here from the Weekend Warrior. We're going to go around the panel with our critics' picks, looking at several new films or series in theaters and or streaming that we liked. Lisa, give me a movie that you're recommending.
Okay, Springsteen, Deliver Me From Nowhere. So the deal is I love Springsteen so much that I worried no film would be worthy of his legacy. And truth be told, I usually loathe music biopics. They cleave to this very cliched rags to riches to rehab formula. But the reason that this one works is because it doesn't try to encompass the entire miracle that is Brucey, as I called him as a child.
Brucey.
And yeah, Brucey. I felt very close to him. Yeah, really. So basically, writer-director Scott Cooper, who gave us the excellent Jeff Bridges vehicle, Crazy Heart, dives deep into one period of Bruce's life here. After the release of the 1980 album, The River, when the record label expected a big crowd pleaser, and he just wanted to make something small and contemplative and sad. Namely, the album Nebraska. Choosing this moment is perfect because it captures the two sides of Bruce, the massive populist rock star and the depressive whose melancholy and deep compassion gives this sort of one in a million depth to such beloved anthems as Born in the USA. Here, the cinematography is all indigo shadows and lonely light streaming through trees, and it follows suit perfectly. And of course, Jeremy Allen White, who looks nothing like the boss, is still perfect because he radiates the right level of charisma and sorrow. This is really my kind of biopic. It acknowledges what makes our music heroes special isn't their overall story, but their ability to make something beautiful out of struggle.
Ed, you saw it.
Yeah, I'm more of a music guy even than a movie guy, and I was never a huge Springsteen fan, to be honest. I kind of like.
I don't know what to say to that.
Yeah,
man.
well, I mean, I was kind of like.
Wasn't Brucey to you?
No, it wasn't Brucey to me, but I kind of came into him like more on the MTV side. I mean, I knew Born to Run, but then Born in the USA came out. I didn't really know Nebraska at all.
Oh, it's such a good album.
But I was surprised how much I love this movie. I'm
Why? Tell me why.
Well, first of all, the performance by Jeremy Allen White, but I think also the performance by Stephen Graham, who's amazing in this, and also Odessa Young, who plays a fictional girlfriend of his. But a lot of critics have been kind of down on this movie because
they don't terribly at the box.
Yeah, it didn't do well. Yeah,
I think because it's not bombastic. It's a really subtle film. It's an indie film.
It's a drama about depression, and people are like, but a lot of critics just don't like biopics at all.
Yeah.
So it's already getting that, and then it didn't do well at the box office. But it's like one of my favorite movies of the year. I think it's brilliant. I think it's a brilliant movie.
Bill, you wanted to talk about Hamnet.
Yeah, this is what the kids call an origin story. This is from Academy Award-winning director and writer Chloe Zhao, who did Nomadland and The Rider, and it's about the loss that created Shakespeare's most timeless masterpiece, Hamlet. Jessie Buckley won an Oscar the minute she shows up in the film as Mrs. Shakespeare, and Paul Mescal and Emma Watson co-star. Do not believe the haters calling this misery porn. Of the to be or not to be, this is a strong to be Best Picture nomination.
Yeah, I actually thought it was completely overrated. I saw it like maybe a week or two after it was a TIFF, and everyone was raving about it.
He's wrong, so we should move on.
but it won the Audience Award at TIFF, and I saw it, and it was so grim for most of the movie. And then the last 20 minutes is literally a production of Hamlet. And with Jessie Buckley watching and crying. That's if she wins an Oscar, that'll be what she's winning.
She's going to win an Oscar for giving birth 3 times and also having an unbelievable relationship with William Shakespeare.
I'm with Ed on this one. I thought the performances were quite good, but I did not like Nomadland. I was very bored with that movie, despite it winning an Academy Award. And I was kind of bored with this as well. I mean, most of the movie, first we see William Shakespeare, and there's no indication that he's a playwright. He's a tutor and he's making leather goods in his father's company. All of a sudden he becomes this brilliant playwright who's like...
Well, I'm sorry his real backstory didn't fall into the Neil Rosen play book.
They don't even mention his name. They don't even mention it as Shakespeare until
it comes out of nowhere. And as far as her performance, yes, she gives a good performance, but most of the time she's melancholy and screaming and giving birth. And I just was bored with the movie. Ed, pick a movie.
Yeah, my movie is Rental Family. It's a new movie with Brendan Fraser, who won an Oscar not that long ago. This is definitely a more subdued movie. It's a very sweet movie. It's written and directed by a Japanese director named Takari, who she is best known probably for directing TV like Beef and Tokyo Vice. It's very sweet. Brendan Fraser plays an actor named Philip who lives in Tokyo. That's where he has all his work. He's basically brought on to this company called Rental Family, who get actors to create experiences for their clients. So in one case they go to a funeral. A guy wants to have a funeral for himself to hear people say nice things about it.
And this really happens in Japan, which is
I believe it. Yeah, there's a lot of weird things in Japan that happen, and that's one of them. But I mean, it's just such a nice, sweet movie. I mean, some people may find it saccharine. But Brendan Fraser is just a really nice character. The best part of the movie is he has a relationship with this little girl who believes he's her father. He basically is hired by the mother to kind of like get the girl to school. But it's just a wonderful story. I was tearing up a lot of the movie. It has a great soundtrack by the guy from Sigur Rós, Jonesy. It's a beautiful movie.
Well, I'm mixed on this. It also, like the last movie, this did not grab me the way I believe the director intended it to. I will not give away the ending. The ending baffled me on this particular movie with Fraser's choice.
But how often does that happen to Neil Rosen? Let's be honest.
No, Fraser makes a choice that just totally is concurrent to the way the movie goes.
Right.
But I don't hate the movie. I said mixed. I like Fraser's performance. I liked certain aspects of it, but overall, I'm not like.
I have to say, I haven't seen it, but it looks treachy and sitcom-y, and you're saying it's not those things?
I think it has elements of that being kind of saccharine, but I mean, the relationship with the little girl is amazing.
I'm going to talk about the new movie, Wicked for Good. Now, the first movie, Wicked, came out last year, around the same time of the year, and if you saw the Broadway musical that the film is based on, Wicked for Good is the expanded second act of that show. Both films were shot at the same time. So everyone from the director to the stars, Ariana Grande and Cynthia Erivo, are back, as well as such supporting characters as Michelle Yeoh and Jeff Goldblum, and they all do a fine job. But Wicked for Good is a much darker film than last year's movie. It doesn't have the many whimsical moments that the first one had, and the songs aren't as good. There's no popular or defying gravity here. But that said, the story is quite engrossing and goes really deep. There's not only references to the original 1939 movie, The Wizard of Oz. Director John M. Chu reinvents scenes with Dorothy, the Tornado, the Scarecrow, the Tin Man, and the Lion. Plus, Goldblum, as the wizard himself, has an interesting song with lyrics that subtly echo today's political climate. Like the first film, the sets, special effects, and costumes are simply an eye-popping spectacle to behold. And if you like the first film, you won't be disappointed with Wicked for Good. Just expect a deeper, more intense film.
Actually, was a little disappointed with part two. I mean, for a lot of the reasons that you named, surprisingly. I think the songs don't pop as much that are in the second half of the show. And I also found it, honestly, I admire the grit, but I had to check because I assumed it was a lot longer, but it's actually shorter. It just is so joyless that it really kind of drags.
I actually like the movie a little more than the first movie, only because the ending is so great. The last number for good between Cynthia Erivo and Ariana Grande is so great. I had some problems. I had some problems with what they call retconning. When you're going back to the Wizard of Oz and you start like making up new relationships, new things. I won't spoil them, but it's like that kind of thing is like I feel like if I go back to watch the Wizard of Oz now, the 1939 movie, I'd be like, oh, is that what's going on? And it's like I don't like that at all. I don't like having movies I love being retconned.
Lisa, I know you got a doc series.
I do. Mr. Scorsese. This 5-part Apple TV doc series is actually worthy of its subject, which is saying something because it centers one of our greatest living directors. The series director is Rebecca Miller, who is a film director and writer of great talent herself. And as the daughter of Arthur Miller and the wife of Daniel Day-Lewis, she knows something about how to convey her esteem for male genius without fast-forwarding over how Mr. Genius has taken the women around him for granted. This digs deep into Scorsese's mafia-addled New York City backstory. He was a little asthmatic kid who kind of literally had to get rescued at the movies so he could breathe at times. And it digs even deeper into his filmmaking choices, all the way back to Mean Streets and Taxi Driver to the present. It also covers his spiritual and substance abuse struggles, which are really compelling. There are a lot of engaging interviews with Marty himself and such cronies as De Niro and DiCaprio and his childhood pals, who are really, really big characters, and also his daughters and his ex, Isabella Rossellini. He really emerges as someone who keeps learning as he ages, which is not always the case. So I learned a lot as I watched it, and I would gladly have watched 5 more episodes.
I'm going to pay Rebecca Miller the biggest compliment here, which is that I thought I knew a bunch of the things about this guy, and I just didn't.
I learned so much.
And actually, some things we've learned about him weren't true. You were told in a couple of books that he went out to California and hit it big with people like Spielberg and Brian De Palma. They sort of ostracized him at first.
He suffered
and he
socially.
had to go home with his tail between his legs because he made a commercial movie.
He found his footing.
So this is really, really excellent. No matter how much you think you know about this guy, it's really good, and I highly recommend it. Like you said, some of his childhood friends, what am I doing here? Should I even be talking? It's like really,
should
really
I say
good.
this on air?
Yeah, it's really good.
It's so good.
And the guy, his friend that Johnny Boy, the Robert De Niro character in Mean Streets was based on, that he took. It's so interesting. And it won an award at the CCA Documentary Awards. And in the acceptance speech, Rebecca Miller said, I thought this was going to be a 2-hour documentary. And I started talking to this guy. 5 hours in, we're only up to age 12, which I completely understand because I was supposed to do a 10-minute interview once with Scorsese, and it turns out to be like 50 minutes and he's still talking.
That literally happened to me once. I asked him one question and he spoke for 30 minutes. It was pure bliss.
So that's why it winds up to be...
And it was 60 minutes of material because he talked so quickly.
Well, it turns out to be... That's why it turns out to be a 5-part limited series. And I could have even gone for another part. I mean, I didn't mind that my interview got
Unfortunately,
expanded.
we don't have that many parts on this show.
That is true. All right, Bill, let's move on and tell me about your picking.
This is a film called La Grazia, and it asks, what would you do if you were the president of Italy? Academy and BAFTA award-winning filmmaker Paolo Sorrento gives us Tony Servillo. Now, this is a Best Actor Award winner at the Venice Film Festival, and he is playing Italy's outgoing president. He has 3 bills to sign, and his daughter is the closest confidant. This is a very human story about a man who lost his wife and wanders around the palace obsessing about a lover she had 40 years ago. It has some of the most spectacular imagery and cinematography of the year, and it's easily one of my year best films. I love this movie.
You know what's interesting is that it's actually restrained for a Sorrentino movie. Like it doesn't have all of the bombastic visual flourishes that you usually get. So when the flourishes do show up, they pack even more of a wallop.
And he's not obsessed with women, young women, in a creepy way.
No. It's actually really interesting. It's very philosophical. And we have a chance to kind of dig into the stakes that he's facing because we're not distracted. I thought it was very good.
It sounds interesting.
Yeah, I've been very mixed on his movies, and I haven't seen this one yet. But do you think if I'm kind of up and down in his movies, do you think this one might be the one?
This is one of his best.
It's a departure from his normal style.
Right. It's not like the normal kind of paranthropy thing and that stuff he's done before.
Ed, it's alive.
What? Yeah.
He never says that.
Oscar winner Guillermo del Toro has been trying to make a Frankenstein movie as long as he's had a career, over 20 years, since he's been a kid. He loved Mary Shelley's book. He loved the Frankenstein movie with Boris Karloff. I think he just never could get the money together. So he goes to Netflix, and of course Netflix has all the money. So he's made this gorgeous period piece. It stars Oscar Isaac as Dr. Frankenstein, the man who wants to kind of beat death by creating new life. And he creates a creature. I don't want to call it creature. It's more of a creation played by Jacob Elordi, who plays the role played by Karloff originally. I just thought it's not a horror movie. That's the other thing. It's not a horror movie. It's more of like just a period piece, period drama that tells a similar story. I thought Jacob Elordi was amazing as the creature, and I love the movie. Yeah.
Bill?
I liked this at the beginning. I thought it was an interesting conceit that this boat becomes frozen and that the story gets told because these people are held captive there. But it's a long movie, longer than it really needs to be. And funny enough, on Netflix, it would have made a pretty interesting 2 or 3 part like little mini series. But I can't recommend this. By the time you get to the end of it, you're just so tired.
I honestly can't decide what I feel about this film entirely. It's harrowing, it's heartbreaking, it is hard to watch, and all of Del Toro's usual calling cards are here. It's grotesque and gorgeous, right? and it's full of gore. But to me, what tips the hand a little bit is that I think Jacob is actually very, very good. It's humanity. It's his humanity that saves the day here. I mean, that big oomph is a much better actor than he needs to be.
Since this is your pick, Ed, there have been so many movie versions and even TV episodes of this particular story. I mean, the original James Whale Frankenstein and The Bride of Frankenstein and then Andy Warhol's Frankenstein. And I could go on, the Munsters. I could go on and on and on.
You could go on and on.
Right. So the point here is do we really need, I didn't see this, do we really need another version of this? Does Del Toro really bring something that different to the table to tell this story that everybody knows up and down again?
I guess it really depends on whether or not you like the story in the first place. But Del Toro has also done a lot of movies like The Shape of Water, for which he won the Oscar. That was a movie about a creature, about like humanizing a creature.
But that was a news story.
It was a news story, but he was obviously inspired by there's a lot of stuff. You can see elements of this Frankenstein movie in all of his other movies. Like this is something he's been wanting to tell for a long time, and he has. And I think
we want to see it?
No, actually, I know what you're saying.
You're making a good point.
No.
But
I think he's making an excellent point because, I mean, Del Toro is one of the most influential filmmakers working right now, and this is his origin story. You know, like all roads of his filmmaking lead back to this. So in a way, him not making a Frankenstein movie would be a shanda, to quote my Jewish grandmother.
Mm. Yeah, and he's very faithful to the book. He's very faithful to the James Whale, but he also does his own things. It's not like a complete mirror image of anything else he's done.
Right.
I think we're going to remember this is better than we're feeling about it right now.
I agree.
All right. Well, Song Sung Blue is based on a true story. It stars Hugh Jackman as a musician, falls in love with a Patsy Cline impersonator, played by Kate Hudson. They get married, and together they form a Neil Diamond tribute band. Eventually, these two down-on-their-luck performers become moderately successful and develop a following. Jackman's character is a recovering alcoholic, while Hudson has some major problems of her own. Jackman does a really impressive job of sounding and embodying Neil Diamond, while Hudson is amazing when she's singing like Patsy Cline. But aside from the spot-on musical impersonations, the movie is much more than that. Both characters are multi-layered, and they have a lot of depth to them as they go through their own trials and tribulations. They battle their own personal problems, some of which are quite severe. It's a good, heartfelt movie loaded with lots of Neil Diamond songs that's sure to make his fans happy. But I'm going to warn you, if his music isn't your thing, you probably won't connect with this on the same level.
I think what elevates this above kind of Hallmark fare is the chemistry between Jackman and Hudson. I mean, because they really have beautiful chemistry. And I was a little surprised. I mean, I knew that Jackman had a lot of musicality, but she was wonderful. Like she I mean, you get it.
Really sings like
you get why
Cline.
she was married to a rock star now. Like she really loves music, and it comes through every moment that she's on film.
I'd like to see her get an Oscar because she didn't get one for Almost Famous. She was raw.
So good in Almost Famous.
I just don't think this is good enough from what I've heard.
Ed, you saw it.
Yeah, I actually went to the movie not realizing it wasn't a Neil Diamond biopic. I actually kind of didn't really read up upon it. I just kind of went in and I said, it's Jackman playing Neil Diamond. And I was like literally the first second, like, oh, it's not that.
You were Edward Sung Blue.
Yeah. No, I really loved it. I think like Lisa said, I think Hugh and Kate are amazing. I think one thing I would say about this movie is that it is based on a true story, and I would go into it not knowing the true story. There was a documentary made about it. But if you don't know the true story, a lot of what happens is a lot more shocking. In the last hour, which is very dramatic, will throw you for a loop, but in a good way, because Kate Hudson is an amazing dramatic actor. I think that seeing Kate Hudson doing a dramatic role like this is really eye-opening, and people won't expect it in the first hour.
Lisa, give me a movie.
It's called Come See Me in the Good Light, and I really think Apple TV docs are hitting it out of the park this year, because this is another one. This one is director Ryan White's portrait of the Colorado Poet Laureate Andrea Gibson and their partner, the poet Megan Falley, in what would turn out to be the final year of Gibson's life. Gibson was an unbelievably talented and unpretentious spoken word poet, which is almost an oxymoron, right? And they were that rare sort of person who could actually rare sort of poet who could book big venues on their own successfully. The compassion and grace that they demonstrate while navigating incurable cancer is going to stick with you after you see this, because they articulate themselves so honestly, so beautifully. Seriously, even if you don't like their poetry, even if you don't like poetry, their sensibility may inspire you to notice and appreciate what's around you a little bit more. They also offer a really useful model of what committed love can look like between two artists when neither partner is out to overshadow the other one. It's kind of the opposite of Scorsese, with all respect. So I really recommend this film, even if the subject matter seems unlikely to you.
Bill, you want to talk about The Diplomat?
Well,
so take it away, my friend.
Arguably, The Diplomat on Netflix, and Neil will ask 9 times what it's on, so I'm going to say it right here at the top, is some of the best drama and also laugh out loud comedy on television right now. In 3 seasons, they've had the best cliffhangers of any show in modern history. Kerry Russell is sent to London because they're grooming her back home to be vice president. She has baggage in the form of her lobbyist Machiavellian husband, Rufus Sewell. This is absolutely Bill and Hillary Clinton go to Parliament. Their marriage is fragile as it is without him playing second fiddle. Some of the greatest season-ending twisted but believable finales on modern TV, and once again, Neil, it's on Netflix. You got to see it.
You know what? I love this cast so much. But the series' condescending and super outdated boomer politics grate so much in the shadow of what is happening for real on the American political landscape.
I think that's unfair.
No patience for this one, honestly. This is a generation gap if there ever were one.
No.
You've been talking about this show to me for years. I dumped out after the middle of the first season. I'm going back in. My wife goes, "You crazy. You got to watch this thing. It's terrific." So I'm going back in. Ed, what do you got?
I'm going to talk about Now You See Me, Now You Don't, which is the 3rd movie in an action franchise starring Jesse Eisenberg and Woody Harrelson. This is their 3rd movie, but it's their 5th movie together as actors. They brought on director Ruben Fleischer, who directed them in the 2 Zombieland movies, as well as some of the writers from Zombieland. And I think this movie is much funnier than the previous 2 movies. I think the action eats it much better. They have Rosman Pike as the villain, and she's amazing. And also they bring on a young cast, so it's not like just the same 4 magicians doing these things. It's actually Ariana Greenblatt from Barbie, Justice Smith, and Dominic Sessa from The Holdovers. It's I just had a lot of fun. I mean, I have a very special place for magic. I worked as a house manager in a magic show for a year, and actually, the magician I met on the set of Now You See Me, the first movie. So I love magic. I love what they did with this franchise with this 3rd movie.
Neil, I do not understand the success of this franchise. I admire on one level the fact that it is not a superhero franchise, but they act like their characters are superheroes, which doesn't work, especially because the feats are so bombastically unlikely and cheesy. Okay, and also generally speaking, I do not think magic works in movies.
Yeah, because we know it's a movie.
Right.
I don't understand. You as a magician love this when you know you're being duped.
No, I know. I mean, I mentioned
those are
them,
real tricks that are happening on screen.
No, I mentioned in my review. There's a big set piece where they're all like kind of doing magic tricks to try to one up each other. And obviously, it's going to be done with CG, and it's going to be done with like different. There's a lot of stuff.
But don't they start in Vegas and then walk into London 7 seconds later?
No. They start in Bushwick.
Okay, sorry, I was way off.
Magic on cinema doesn't work.
Yeah, I think I agree.
How does this compare to the first 2? And they're doing a 4th one.
Yeah, they're probably it's doing well enough. They'll do a 4th.
He said this is the funny and the best one. For that reason alone, I might watch it.
Oddly, the 2nd movie was directed by John Chu from Wicked, and so he's. But I think Ruben Fleischer, because he's worked with Jesse and he's worked with Woody before, and the writers involved. I think they kind of have a better thing. I mean, it doesn't focus on them as much as it focuses on the younger magicians. But I think the young magicians also bring a lot. They'll be really good in the next movie, too.
Stiller and Meara, Nothing is Lost is the name of a new documentary directed by their son, Ben Stiller. It's a loving look at the career and family life of this popular comedy duo. Ann Meara and Jerry Stiller got married at a very young age. She wanted to be a serious actress. He wanted to pursue comedy. They ultimately became a comedy duo, and a lot of their routines revolved around the fact that she was Irish Catholic and he was Jewish. They performed countless times on The Ed Sullivan Show, the biggest variety show in the 1950s and 60s that could make or break a career, and this married team became quite successful. Using tons of archival footage, director Ben Stiller rummages through his late parents' apartment, finding many mementos, plus a treasure trove of audio and videotapes, both personal and public, which tells their story. Ben also speaks extensively with his sister Amy, and they talk about how their parents' showbiz career and constantly not being around while they were performing on the road affected their lives. Ben, who also has an extremely successful career himself, points out how he might have made the same mistakes with his children. There's lots of clips featuring their many comedy routines as a duo, and also included are clips of Jerry's famous role as Frank Costanza on Seinfeld. Overall, it's a warm, funny, and touching documentary. I really like this thing.
I think Benji Stiller done good. I love that they call him Benji when he was a kid.
And to your point, this is another Apple.
Yeah, it's another Apple.
Really. I think what's amazing is the way they marry some of the footage where the door to their apartment is being opened by 5-year-old Ben, and then they redo it with 55-year-old Ben doing it, and it's not distracting. It's all amazing. I was tearing up at the end of this thing, and I couldn't recommend it more highly.
I also think it captures the tension between Jerry and Ann's onstage chemistry and their private lives, which was fascinating to me.
Ed?
Yeah, I wasn't old enough to see them on the Ed Sullivan Show because
I remember those.
I was like probably 2. But
Neil was in the audience at the Ed Sullivan Theater.
He was directing.
I was very familiar with their work. I've seen like clips over the years. Obviously, I saw Jerry on. I saw Jerry Stiller. Yeah, I saw Jerry Stiller on Seinfeld a lot. I loved his character. But I thought Ben Stiller did a great job. I think he's a really good director. The fact that he can shift into documentaries so easily just shows that. And I hope he'll do another documentary, maybe something else.
I saw those clips as a kid on Ed Sullivan, and I didn't know how they would play like all those decades later. But I think they hold up. I don't know if you agree. They're still funny.
No, they were the best of the best. They were unbelievable. I mean, honestly, obviously everyone loves George Burns and Gracie, but these two were up there. And
Jerry Stiller just realizing that she was the brains of the outfit and that she was much more intelligent and funnier in ways that he would have to mine and sort of just stand there and take it. It's brilliant.
Yep.
All right. A quick theater recommendation before we go. Tom Hanks is in a new play that he wrote and stars in called This World of Tomorrow. He's a time traveler from the late 21st century who's able to transport himself back to the 1939 New York World's Fair. He falls in love with a visitor at the fair, played by Kelly O'Hara, but Hanks is only able to stay there for less than 24 hours, so he keeps traveling back in time to the same exact day and place and has to start from scratch with her each time. Good writing, good performances, and good play. Check it out in its limited run if you're in New York.
So it's Groundhog's Day.
Tickets.
It's Groundhog's Day, basically.
It is Groundhog Day.
Okay.
Well, that's about all the time we have. I want to thank Bill McCuddy, Lisa Rosman, and Edward Douglas. I'm Neil Rosen. Join us next time on Talking Pictures.